Seeing it in 3D. Seems kind of strange. Okay, it's viewing itself. Now that's about as far back as we go.
How many meetings we having here?
No, I still think I'm missing. Anyway.
Ron, sorry, we're having recent acquisitions after that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're having recent acquisitions because I don't think we have anything else. But we'll start off with this. Well, oh, Lindy, she might have some medals for us. Lindy, did you bring any coronation medals?
I've got 3.
Hooray! We've got a few to show.
Not 5.
Why don't we have a deep conversation about it?
Okay. You bring Lindy. Right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I will open the meeting. It is our meeting 1240 here at the Roseville Club on Sunday the 10th of September 2023. We have apologies from David Mee, Matthew Lloyd, Liz Carlisle, Ron Bolden, Joe Detling and Maury Brad. Are there any other apologies?
Oh, no, don't bother me. No.
Do we have the sign-on book?
Yeah.
It's over there. Terrific. Thank you. I'll get it up here later.
I'm not where mine.
Gary, is it? Right. Welcome, Gary Lewis from the USA. I'm glad you could find a place and join us, Gary. Right. So, under general business, our next meeting is here on Sunday the 8th of October, and the topic is Scandinavia. So I hope everyone has some Scandinavian items for us. Also, on the 21st and 22nd of October is the Ander Fair. It's on at the lower town hall again, and the ANS will have our usual table there, and we'll be manning the front table where people make their donation as they enter. So I'll need volunteers for both the Saturday and the Sunday, so I hope we can split it into 2 shifts with 3 or 4 of us on each day. Auction 53 isn't opened yet. I've lotted 87 lots so far, so we're going up to 200 lots, so there's another 113 to lot in the next 2 to 3 weeks, but by the end of this month it will be on and it will be open. It will close at 8 p.m. on Saturday the 7th of October, and that's the day before our next meeting here. So if you win any of the lots in that meeting, you can let me know and I'll bring them here and you can pick them up and pay for them at our October meeting. That's the only general business I have. Is there any other general business anyone would like to bring up? No, in which case we'll go on to the AGM. The AGM. Could you take one and hand the rest down? Take one and hand the rest down. And I'll give one to George as well. Right, I will give the reports since our secretary isn't here to give the reports. It's been a very, I've said interesting year, but really it was quite a stressful year in a way, because early on we heard that Phila's house was being sold, and we would have to find a new location for our meetings, and we found this location. Unfortunately, for those of you who haven't heard, this location is being demolished in January to renovate. They're rebuilding it, they're digging a car park underneath, and it's going to take 2 to 3 years to rebuild, so we're going to have to find somewhere else to meet, probably from about January. So if anybody knows of any good locations near a train station where we can make arrangements to have meetings either on the Sunday or on the Monday night, please let me know, and I'll try and see if we can get bookings there. We can obviously pay a small fee, but we certainly can't pay a big fee. So, you know, I hope we can find somewhere before our January meeting. The other thing is so from January onwards we will not be meeting here, so we'll have one more meeting here next month, and then our last meeting in December. And perhaps we might be able to get one in January, but I don't think so. So it's getting very close. So we don't have long to find out. With that, I'll give you a quick rundown of what we did last year. In July 2022, we had our meeting in Phila's house, and the topic was Egypt and Israel, and also the Joanna Medal was distributed to all members. In August, the topic was Science and Scientists. On the 12th of September, the Queen Elizabeth II passed, so last year, about this time. And we had our AGM, and the topic was Numismatics of the 21st century. On the 11th of October, we were back here, we had an affair, and then we were back here, and the topic was Ships and Navigators. 14th of November, we were at Noble's, and Jim showed us the highlights of their auction. 12th of December, we had our display competition, and for the life of me, I can't remember who won it. Can anybody else remember who won it? Did somebody here win it? David Mead. Could have been David. Okay, January, we had our last meeting at Phila's house, and the topic was Portugal and colonies. In February, we started our first meeting here at the Roseville Club, and the topic was Australian pre-decimal coins. In March, we were back at Nobles, and Jim showed us the highlight of their auction. On the 16th of April, and that was a week later than normal, because the Sunday before was Easter Sunday and this club was closed, and the topic was Anzac and military related. On the 21st of May, we had a meeting here, and again, it was the third Sunday, because the second Sunday was Mother's Day and they were sold out. The place was full. The topic was Greece, and the June meeting, we didn't have a meeting because we had our conference in Coffs Harbour. So that was more or less the program we had. Also, in June this year, our president, John Veltmeyer, passed away. And so we haven't had a president since that day. So that was more or less the report of what happened in the year. I'll put my treasurer's hat on, and I've passed out a profit and loss report and the balance sheet report. And as you can see from this, we had a very good year. The year went well because we had a lot of auctions that had really good material in them, and since we take a 10% commission on all the auctions, we get revenue in from them. And we had 4 auctions, and we were selling at average about $3,000 in each auction, so we got about $1,200 in auction fees, and we had next to no expenses because we didn't make any medals last year, and usually we spend about $1,000 on medals, so that was quite good. So literally we had a profit of $3,900 last year, so that went into the bottom line. As a result, our check account was quite high with $5,000, and the total in the bank, either in the term deposits or the check account, was $62,000, which was quite a lot of money. Since then, we have converted a lot of the money in the check account, doing nothing, into our term deposits. And if you turn over to the second page of the budgets, you'll see the up-to-date statement down there, and you can see that we've grown our total balance to $64,000. So we're currently $2,000 up so far this year, mainly because we've still had one auction which presented good returns, and we're getting better interest rate from the term deposits, so they're going up. So far so good. Money coming in is good. Money going out is not a lot, so that's good. I am happy to answer questions on our finances if anyone would like to ask any questions. But all in all, it's pretty good. Nope? Okay. That takes us back to the agenda. Would somebody like to move that the reports be taken? So we have a mover by Paul, like a seconder, by Grant. Okay. Moved. Paul, second, Grant. All in favour? Anyone against? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we have next bit of the AGM is nominations for council. I have asked our Vice President David Mee if he would like to stand for president, and he said yes, he would. So David's happy to do being the president. The only problem he has is he has trouble making it here on the Sundays because he has to be back at Barrel or wherever it is, Mossvale Barrel, by 6 p.m. And with the train services the way he is, he has a meeting there at 6 p.m. so he has difficulty. So since we have to find a new venue, it might work out well that David can take over. Vice President is Frank Chevier. He has agreed to nominate, so that was good. Matthew has said he's happy to stay on as secretary, and I'm happy to stay on as treasurer. Councillors are Tony Hall, Peter Atherton, and Grant Chevier, and I'm assuming you gentlemen are happy to stay on the council? Yep. In which case we have all our nominations, so since there's only one nomination for each position, it is carried. Welcome one and all. And with that, I will end the AGM and ask our Vice President to take over the agenda, please. And I think since Lindy is the only one, I think, who's brought some coronation items. Oh, good.
Well,
We start with Lindy.
unaccustomed as I am to this position, forgive me if I make a boo-boo to start, but thanks for the nomination and acceptance. As you're all aware, today's topic is coronations. Call upon anyone who has something to show. Ladies first. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I just grabbed what I had and I haven't got my glasses. So it's not doing terribly well. First of all, I've actually got, and it's not a medallion, it's a couple of the coronation of the new king.
Oh, good.
Charlie. Sorry, I should be much more respectful, shouldn't I? The long-serving Prince of Wales has finally got his crown. So I hope I think we know quite enough about him, and I hope we'll finally get a little bit of a go at it. He's been working for long enough, getting ready for it.
You can't see the other side?
No, there's not much you can see. Oh, sorry. You can take it all out, but I just haven't got around to opening them. I picked them up and that was as far as I got. And they do make life difficult for us.
So these aren't actually coronation medals, these are coronation
actually, yes,
coins.
Coins.
That must be their 50p.
Sorry, it's a 50p, yes, certainly.
And that must be the coronation crown. Coronation of King Charles.
Yes, I haven't done
6th of May 2023.
And then I'm going to go back a little bit.
And on the other side of the all the English coins now is that portrait. So that would be the portrait of the king on the other side. No doubt eventually that portrait will be on Australian coins as well.
I hope in the next year. They seem to be a bit slow at doing everything, don't they? Then I go back, this one is actually
Yep.
a Jubilee, so it's not quite the coronation. It's that Victoria's Diamond Jubilee, I think it is.
Yes. 1997.
1837 to 1897, yes. I think it has another side to it. Not a very good one, as you can see, but at least it's, I can't resist when those things come up. I think it's a koala, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the emu and the kangaroo around the shield, the Australian coat of arms shield. Did you get this from one of our auctions?
I think I could have. And then I get one of yours or something, was it?
No,
then
that's good. Huh?
I go back to another long-serving Prince of Wales. That is Edward VII and Alexandra in 1902. It's an Australian version again, I think that one. Australia's coronation medal. And you can read it better than I.
Yes. It says Australia at the...
Some of these poor Princes of Wales wait a long time to become king, don't they? When they've got a long living mother. And then we get poor old George V and Mary.
He didn't have to wait as long.
No. But I think he was already quite old by the time he got there.
Yes.
Daddy wanted to have his turn first. So that was 1911, of course.
Yes.
And
1911, yeah.
that's
Edward was 1901, so yeah, he only had 10 years.
10 years, yes. Well, I think some people say that's what King Charles might do, the 10 years before he hands over to William.
I think he might be a bit longer.
He might want to go until he dies like his mother, do you think? And really, that's all I've got. I also got the Queen's coronation 60th anniversary. We've had quite a lot of coverage of her. Is that the same crown? I'm not quite sure what. A vow made good, yes. Well, she did say she'd go as long as she could, and she certainly did, didn't she? Same crown?
Doesn't look quite the same.
I think they have a choice, don't they? Oh yes, no, it doesn't, does it? All right. And that's all I grabbed. I think I have got a few more of the medals somewhere, but I just don't know quite where. I'm not very organised now.
Could be similar. It's the Queen's crown.
Yes, they look quite different, don't they?
And that's the King's crown.
Suppose they all have a choice these days, don't they?
Yeah. Well, it could be what they put on the medal.
True. I don't know whether it's the one they actually used for the coronation. So that's all I can tell you, I'm afraid. And I also...
Any recent acquisitions?
No, if anyone is interested in stamps, I have a whole lot of stamps to give away, and you can happily, do what you like with them, because I don't want them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Okay.
we'll give those to Grant and he'll... Yeah.
George, have you got something? George? Who else? Going back to the coronation of King George V and Queen Mary on Thursday the 22nd of June 1911. This was the second of 4 such events to be held during the 20th century and the last to be attended by royal representatives of the great continental European empires. Couldn't find much on them at all, really. They're more sort of trade type medallions. The one from John Danks and Sons was made of bronze, and it's in the form of an It's 23 mil diameter, and it's referred to by in Carlisle. I'm not too sure. I know he has got a couple of books out, but I'm not sure which one this would come under. So it does get a mention in there. John Danks was a plumber and gas fitter suppliers. Also had a foundry. Nothing on how many or how they were actually distributed. I assume they were just given out to customers and what have you.
Which one was that?
That's the
little one at the end?
On the right there. The front's a bit better, but it just says that's the ad part noted for plumbers and gas fitters, what have you, so the face is a little bit clearer. Then we have the coronation of King George VI and Elizabeth on May the 12th, 1937 at Westminster Abbey. It was meant to be the coronation of Edward VIII, but he abdicated on the 11th of December 1936 because of the opposition to his desire to marry Wallace Simpson, a twice divorcee. This medal apparently was produced by Millers of Sydney and was presented to the children of Forbes district, sponsored, and it was sponsored by H.K. Ford, the Mayor, D.P. Dempsey, the Town Clerk, W.J. Broadfoot, the Secretary. Now the two are exactly the same as you see. One's got the inscription, one is blank, so I don't know whether that's mentioned in Carlisle or not. But when you look at the face of it, it would appear to me that they were sort of mass-produced, sent out to various organisations, and they did what they wanted with the reverse of it. The other one is a coronation, just says barrel, so I don't know other sort of references to who it was given to or who sponsored it. But it was the, you can only figure it out, it's of a white metal, and they possibly by Armour of Sydney, there's a little bit there somewhere. It's similar to what appears to be a bronze one at the Powerhouse Museum. Other than that, no other details, and again, whether it's mentioned in Carlisle, I don't know. And as I say, it was just another one of those that I think was pretty much mass-produced, and you just filled in the barrel or whatever the case might have been. So that's all I have.
Any recent acquisitions at all?
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
I had a question here. The hole, was it the menu for jewelry, you think?
Sorry?
You think it was head around from this neck?
Oh, I assume so, yeah. Very little information I could find. Google.
All right, you did.
I'm not a great researcher.
Got some ancient price lists for, this is from the, I think 1940s or 1950s, prices for metals from somebody in the United States, from war medals, relics, curios, war souvenirs from the 1950s and 1960s. That's when this prices came out, so it's for free. Anybody who wants to have an old price list.
Who was it from?
It's from Person Leonard. Yeah, you might as well put that one in. So it's got 2 stamps. That's when it was still cost 2 cents to send a price list around the United States.
War medals, relics, curious, war stuff.
It was sent to somebody in Illinois. So I've got a whole group of these, which
Yep.
that's whoever wants it. Then this is concerning our previous. No, I'll talk about this. For those that don't know, I'm getting rid of items from my mother's house and then moving it all back to Indonesia. This is my collection of casino memorabilia. There was a time when I was interested in making fame and fortune in casinos. Thank God I stopped early. So these are membership cards. The pink and the brown, they're from London in the UK. This was from Sun International Group in South Africa. This was from Macau. Casino. And one from Australia, Jupiter's. I think Jupiter's is in the Gold Coast. So Queensland. So that's another collectible casino chips. I've got a casino chip collection, and 5 of these membership cards. And I think there's none which, except for I think the Macau is more recent, but all the others are from the 80s and 90s. So
that's a collection in itself, isn't it?
That's a collection in itself. So I've got, but there's a United States website which has got anything to do with casinos, postcards, currency, chips. They're mentioned there. This is in relation to last month's topic, where Rod brought out his collection of Australian notes, paper currency, decimal paper currency. And I'm going back, when I go back to Indonesia, I've got some material. I want to have some new currency for the dealers over there. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the Reserve Bank has a directive valid as of 2018, where they give you $500 maximum a week.
Yep.
Now that's a bundle of 5s, or it's 5 $100 notes. So I didn't want to have to go 5 times, so I wrote my dear wife along and said, you and me are coming together, and we're just going to go out there and get $500 each, so the process is quicker. So I managed to get every single denomination, $500 of each. Now, just for interest, for all of you, if you have an interest in it, this is so the set from the 5 to the $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100 face value. They all come with a different day. So I've got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, but not in that order. So here we go. If Rod could take a...
You got all these at the same... Oh,
no, not at the same time. I got $500 of each denomination each time I went.
Right.
So you can't get a date set out of this. It's 5 different dates for 5 different denominations. So that's the way it works.
The Reserve Bank has a website which tells you what is minted every year.
Right.
So they don't produce some of the values every year.
Okay.
So the $5 note has been produced almost every year.
Right. So it's strange that they only give me that's the oldest one I've got. The 16 is the first year. So I've got a
there are
100.
some 20s, starting with the number 20 in the 5s that are coming out as well.
Okay.
But again, you just have to be lucky.
Pot-lucked.
Yeah. And in the Reserve Bank, when they give you those notes, they only have the one bundle to give you from, so you take potluck of whatever you get.
And you can't put any requests. If you try to be funny and try to put in $520 in their worth of notes, they'll say no, they'll only give you $500. And you have to make an appointment in advance. So it's time intensive. But at least they still speak to people.
Yes. As I mentioned last month, I think it was, the year to look for is number 19. So the first 2 numbers on all the notes is the year they were produced, and the 2019 notes with the Gaetchen being Secretary of the Treasury and then back into the Chief of the Prime Minister's Department. He had a very short tenure. So, it's hard to get.
Okay. And last is one which I wanted to show also too.
That's it?
No, I've got one more item. This is what happens when you walk around and you go into pawn shops, and I thought, okay. I didn't pay the price which is on it, but this is a quite nice condition Australia sovereign. 1868 date. And
Sydney Mint.
yes,
Very
Sydney
nice.
Mint sovereign. Sorry, yes. And it's and I've never had one of these before in stock, so I thought, well, this is kind of my memento of Australia to take it up because.
Fairly nice condition.
Yeah, what would you say it was? EF or a little bit better than that?
It's getting there. It's around the EF mark.
I mean, they were really meant to circulate,
And they did.
and they did. You find if it wasn't, it just I got it at the pawn shop and it just jumped at me and it says, you know, buy me, because if it was rough, I wouldn't have bought it. So, but it certainly didn't cost me $1,999. You have to bargain in pawn shops.
Well, was that in Sydney? Or?
In Sydney, yeah. So the last time I bought something in a pawn shop was more than a decade ago. It was a Turkish Zir Mehbub. Somebody, because people drop all kinds of things in here. It's a city with a lot of people coming from different areas. So and I'm a collector of Turkish items. So here I go to pawn shop and then all of a sudden I find a Turkish gold coin, which hasn't been hauled of that period, and that makes it quite scarce because they usually hold it for. Okay. And that is it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just be.
Show it down.
Yep.
Oh, you want the coin as well?
Oh, yeah.
First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Gary Lewis. I've been collecting coins myself since 1955. So I've been collecting quite a few years, been president of quite a few coin clubs. And I appreciate, excuse the hoarseness of my voice, but anyway. Actually, I've been president of our national association, American Numismatic Association. We have about 25,000 members. We had a convention about a month ago in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States, in which we had about approximately 10,000 people came to our convention. I've also been president of a local coin club. I live in Fort Myers, Florida. I don't know if you know geography of Florida, but basically we're in the southwest part of Florida. Temperatures there are about 95 degrees right now. So translate that to Celsius, which is probably, I don't know, 28 or something like that, pretty high. Mm-hmm. But actually about two things to hear, one of which I'm going to give a freebie to everybody. In our local coin club, which is Fort Myers, we have a metropolitan area of about probably 400,000 people. I was president of that local coin club for about 20 years, and I'm 80 years old, so I decided to pass it on to some younger people because our coin club is probably like this coin club. The age is getting up there. It's very difficult to get young people in. It's also very difficult to get people run for office, which is also very difficult. It's tough to get volunteers, let me put it that way. But we have education programs like yourself about every month. Last one was on large size currency, large size denominations of billions or millions, things like that, like the German mark and a few other foreign countries. I've seen in my tour, this is the first time I've been to Australia, a couple of weeks ago, and we had a national convention, and I was just going to put down what we call long gates, you might call press money. You've seen these at probably amusement parks and things like that.
Elongated coins.
Yeah, and this one, I actually have one for everybody at this meeting, plus some extras you can give out at a future meeting.
This one is at our convention we had a month ago in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's on a set. We call them cents, not pennies.
Yeah.
And it's something that actually myself, when I've been to quite a few of our national conventions. The one I was at a month ago was my 55th annual convention. And when I went my 50th one, which was actually 6 years ago, I issued a long gate and had one made myself on we call it just a nickel. So that's the other thing. I just want to show you, and I have one for everybody at this meeting, and some extras you can give away. I just don't want to take back my luggage. One of the reasons I came to this meeting is severalfold. I just want to see how your club are compared to my club. And actually, when I get back to Florida, I'm going to write an article on this club meeting. And it's going to appear in our state magazine. I know the editor of it, and the circulation of state magazine is probably around 3,000 people. So I'm going to do that next. Maybe the next issue. I don't know if you're all familiar with. I know you're familiar with the basic 1 ounce coins they issued in China, the pandas, and you have the similar thing down here too. Yeah. We have the American Eagles, which was issued since 1986. Prior to that, to give some history, the two biggest things that most people collect in the United States are the American Eagles, which is the newest stuff, and the Morgan and Peace dollars. And if you're not familiar with it, Morgan was actually the designer of the dollar. That coin was made from 1878 to 1904, did skip a few years. Then again in 1921. Then in 1921 through 1935, it skipped a few years, they made what's called a peace dollar, basically ended World War I. Someone came up with the idea as a money maker from the U.S. Mint. Well, why don't we commemorate the 100th anniversary of 1921. So they came up 2 years ago and they made Morgan and Peace dollar with the same exact design with the 1921 dates on it. But then they also added mint marks to them that the coins have not been made. For example, they added a mint mark for Carson City, Nevada, which is a mining town, but they haven't made coins there in almost 100 years. So they put a little mint mark in the back. They also made one for New Orleans, Louisiana, and also mint that didn't exist. Anyway, long story short, they did not make this coin last year because there was a shortage of what we call silver rounds. So this year they decided to make one a Morgan and a proof. They make coins in two different ways. One is what we call uncirculated condition, and one was called proof, probably some of you have here. Yeah. And the coins are double struck and highly polished. The uncirculated ones, they issued 275,000 of those. And I was at the convention in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, in July, and issued them. And they issued the proof ones to make 400,000 of those. They were issued at a national convention a month ago. The first coin I'm going to show you, and what these the gentleman before said something about AGC. We said the AGCs had to be located about an hour's drive from my house. Give you some idea. The first coin I'm going to put down here, I don't know if we go through the plastic or not, is basically a new 2023 proof Morgan dollar. And it's exactly the same design as the 1921, the 1923. There's high premium too. It's obviously there's only about 1 ounce of silver in there. Actually, it's not 1 ounce. I think it's 9%. So it's only about 3/4 ounce of silver in there, but it has the same design. And the bottom of there, way down here at 6 o'clock, there's an S, which stands for San Francisco, California. Again, I'm not too sure if I'm going to keep doing these for the next few years. I do not know. But the mint director, our U.S. mint director, was at our convention a month ago, and she did say that in our 250th anniversary in 2026. I'm going to redesign every coin from cent through dollar. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen. The next coin I have is the peace dollar. Again, it's the same thing exact. It's 1921. That's got peace dollar. I don't know if you're familiar with. Everybody familiar with NGC? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the grading company. Yeah.
Okay, let me give you a quick history if I can. Organization I was president of, ANA, is located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's been around since 1891. In 1967, we built a building in Colorado Springs. The building is approximately 4 times the size of this building. To give you some idea, we have 25 full-time employees. We have a museum, we have a library, we have convention facilities, we have seminars. Every summer we have 2 one-week seminars on a bunch of different subjects. You can have grading, stuff like that. Anyway, about 1977, the ANA decided to, 1977, decided to authenticate coin. For example, like the gold coin we saw a few minutes ago. Any other coin, decided to authenticate them. And about 4 years later, they decided, well, now people want to know the grade of the coin. So we started grading them. At that time, it was no numbers. It was good, very good, fine, very fine, similar to what you have here. And after a while, they said, well, we want to get out of this business. ANA, we want to get out of business. So we sold our service to somebody else. And other services have come up. NGC and PCGS are probably the 2 leading services. There's also ICG and ANAX, one we used to all secondary service. But they're all very good. It's expensive to have them slabbed, as you see. One thing is the new slabs have come out. These slabs are counterfeited, mainly from China. And if you go to NGC website and you type in that number right there, you will actually go see the coin, the picture of the coin. But the new system is now, if you have a phone and you pull out your phone, take a picture of that, you actually see a picture of the coin.
Verified, you got the genuine origin.
Yeah. It's counterfeits out there, and unless you have a good manufacturer, and also one of the rules of thumb I've always said, and it should be true here, buy the book before you buy the coin. Have you ever heard that before? Well, I always get knowledge. I always tell people, and I've probably attended in my lifetime probably 1,000 coin shows in a year in my lifetime, and knowledge is really powerful. I don't care if you're a lawyer, a plumber, or a bus driver, or whatever you are, the more knowledge you have by attending meetings like this, going to other organizations, reading books, go to your computer. I know it's some older people like myself and other people don't go to the computer that often, but there's a lot of knowledge out there. So other than that, the grading services are something I always recommend. If you have expensive coin or know it's a high value, put it in a slab in the East U.S. and also foreign coins. Because I may collect the U.S. to be honest with you, but I have a complete set of Canadian silver dollars up to 1958, I think. And I do have a few crown-sized coins, especially from Germany and Czechoslovakia. I don't think I have any Australian coins, but I do have a very extensive collection. I've been collecting for over 60 years. So other than that, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to let it on. And at the same time, there's a free coin here. Take it with you. And if you want to look at these coins up close, come on up, come on down.
Any questions?
Any questions, anything?
Just before Jerry leaves us, Jerry, we would like to present you with this medal.
Okay.
It's a medal that the Society makes what we call the Proclamation series.
Okay.
The Australian Proclamation. The Proclamation was produced in 1800 in Sydney by Governor King at the time to set an exchange rate between all the coinage that was circulating. The idea was to try and keep the coins in Sydney, because the colony had only been started a few years earlier, and every ship that came in, they took all the coins away with them. So they made coins more expensive, especially the silver coins, locally, so they tried to keep them in here. And with the Proclamation, there was coins from all over the world. There was the British coins, there were the Indian coins, there were the Spanish silver dollars, and all the other coins. So so our Proclamation series is every 6 months we produce a coin for the members as their membership that is given to the members in July, and in January we produce a second one that members can purchase. And this was the one that was issued in July this year. It is actually the English farthing, the English 1799 farthing that we had on.
Thank you.
And we would like to present you one as
you.
well. Yes, so
One story I want to add to this, I think I mentioned to you in the email. I bought about 5 years ago, probably I would consider the largest collection in the United States, maybe of Australia and New Zealand pennies and half pennies. I don't know how to put it, but I had my trunk of my Honda. I had to make 2 trips. See this container here? I had about 8 of these. Filled with damn school albums. I'm not too familiar with the type of album. Filled with British, New Zealand and Australian pennies and half pennies. The sets were not complete, but I had over 100 of every set. I don't know why the gentleman bought them, but he bought them and he passed on, unfortunately. And I was contacted, and I saved some of them. I have rolls of some of them. Other ones I actually gave to my grandkids who are 14 and 12 years old to help them collect in the future. Maybe they'll collect New Zealand, Australian, or I don't know what. But it's an interesting hobby, and after collecting for quite a few years, when you go to various shows and meet a lot of people, you're surprised what people collect. I know I have a friend of mine collects purely Japanese. He went to War College up there. I have another friend who collects art and curious money of the Pacific Oceans. He's actually wrote a book on it. So after you collect for quite a few years, you do accumulate a lot of knowledge. And the best thing I would say, if anything, is the social aspect of this. We have, in my particular club, we have, again, about 40 members at a meeting, but every Wednesday morning, we have about 6 or 8 of us go for breakfast. So we have a breakfast meeting. We don't talk coins or paper money or medals or tokens. We just talk almost anything. I have a problem with we had a hurricane in my area about a year ago now, and for about 6 months we just talked about hurricane damage to a house. And when I mean hurricane, I mean miles per hour is about 140 miles per hour. I live about, I don't live on water myself, but I live about 6 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, and there's a river about 2 miles from my house. So anyway, thank you very much and enjoyed it.
Josh, have you got any? Anything on the coronation subject? Recent acquisitions?
Yeah, I got recent acquisitions, I'm just reading yours one.
Front and centre.
They're not slabbed, that's the thing, they're not slabbed.
It's good to see Rossi back. I've actually got to talk on this book when Ross is finished.
Oh, and by the way, who should I run into in there is Bob Clinton. And he's going really well. Coming along well. Can't have alcohol. Lost a hell of a lot of weight. Looks like if I'd lost another 10, I'd reckon he'd be similar to that. So, yeah, no, he's looking good. And Jim's sale starts tomorrow. And of course that's his collection, part 1 of his collection of music.
Did you get his catalogue?
Did
you get his catalogue for this now?
There's a print, I have, there's a printing of 40. So it'll be interesting, but I'm just wondering how he feels about it, because, you know, he's taken a lot of years to put this one together. A lot of years. What do you pass it down? There you go. See it, pop right on. Yes, no, I'm still interested in the gold coins. Or a part of our collection back in about 88 to buy property. That's not a very good photo. It's not the best photo. What is that? I'll have to return that. Anyway, that's, what is it? It's a 59, I think. Now that takes me back to a sale in, I think it was 1980. Was the
Yeah, it is 59.
Was the really crazy sale where I paid 54,000 for a 59 that was, say, a grade better than that one. Who should I be up against? But it was Douglas Liddell, and he was buying for a Swiss bank who just had an open checkbook. But he let me have it at 54,000. Very generous, because I think I resold it in the end for about 15,000 to a really good customer of mine. But it really didn't matter to me, because what I'd made on sovereigns, where I bought some for a number for between 5 and 10,000 that went for between 30 and 40,000. It wasn't worrying me, because what I was keen to do was put this series together. But it ended up getting sold in 1988, because that's when we bought this property. That was our superannuation, and it clocked away in the bank, and I thought, hang on, when we found this property, the family can enjoy the property. They're not going to see much of these coins in the bank, so that's how come I'm part of it. But now, I see them going for these prices. That went for 3,600 plus the gas. These are representative of our first gold coins from the Sydney Mint, and the half sovereigns were for the populace, whereas the sovereigns were done for
The wealthy.
the bullion. Well, they were sent back to London, lots of instances, sent to India. And of course these are the ones that were alloyed with silver rather than copper, so it didn't in 1870. So I think these are still excellent buying, and these are from a renowned collection. That's another one. Because when you consider
That's a
your
61.
dumps going for what, 10,000 plus, these are our first gold coins from the Sydney Mint, Australia reverse. I think they're good buying. I don't think Carol would agree with me. I haven't explained it to her. Or
Do you have any type ones?
my logic.
He'll be bringing them out one at a time.
Yeah, no, Jim's lost one of my top ones. Now, there was just another one. I bought a few sovereigns too because, you know, you can buy these superb, there's a lovely shield sovereign. What was that? 1621. $950, so plus the gas, you know.
Is that 85 or 86?
But, yeah, there's about $700 worth of gold for starters. Now, what you should, if you're grading these or looking for a nice condition one, what I'm looking for is an earlier strike and trying to make out the definition of the heart and the heads on these are the high points that usually get worn down or...
That's a Sydney mint mark there, is it? Looks like a S mint mark.
Yes. And then if you turn it over the obverse, you're looking for a kiss curl on the with Queen Victoria. Just there. But then just this one, I'll show you.
It's a nice grade.
This has been horribly slapped. I'll probably break it out of that and they'll tell me it's worth 15% less. But what I'll do, I'll break it out of it. And it grades better than what they had it graded. So, is that the one? No, that's not the one. I was looking for... No, well, I haven't got it in front of me. I'm not certain. But they got it on the
1880.
AU 53. But old age, the eyes go on, you know. But of course, the other argument I've got is that this was part of a guy's collection where he collected 5 sets of everything. Like these have come up and everybody suddenly thinks, oh, they're common, you know, and whether they're going for less or what. But they're very reasonable. Right, this is an 1896 Melbourne half sovereign, and ordinarily it's a reasonably common date, but in grade it's extremely hard to find. Anything sort of EF or better. Numbers, well, I've probably only seen about half a dozen of them. I didn't have one. That's another theory that I work on, is that anything that I look at now that was better in quality now than the ones that I sold in '88, I know are extremely rare. And this is a typical example of that. It's a 1896 Melbourne. And I remember showing one to Mark Duff, and he says, "Oh no, they're common." And I said, "Oh yeah," but he's able to check the chart of how many have been cased, slapped, and they give a number of how many they've done. And he says, "Oh, there's only 2 or 3 of those." But of course, that's a fallacy too, as you know, re the slapping, because, and I'm sure
they're broken up,
our gentlemen
re-slab.
They break them up and send them in for regrading. That'll do. Any questions?
I had a question. That card you have it on, there's a name of the town. What is that name of the town? Noble?
Noble Numismatic.
What is that? Are you a big auction run? So what, do you keep all your stuff in the same card when you get it or what?
Sorry, I'm not with you.
Most of the time when you, so that's basically bought those at the auction and that's a card that came on like that. Okay. Most of the time we get stuff.
Oh, good. Oh. Yeah, sure.
Maybe it's authentication on or something.
I won't be sending them to be graded from the US. I'm anti all that.
What percent of the more valuable coins here in Australia are graded? Is that high percent you think is graded, or most people think it's raw coins here?
We tend to collect raw coins.
Many raw coins.
But again, you know, if you're going to collect raw coins, you do have to know your own grades. You know, because some people, their grading is hopeless.
Is there a grading book on Australian coins?
Very generally.
Renix.
Yeah, there's a Renix, but basically, unless you handle a lot of high quality coins, you don't know high quality coins.
Thank you, Ross.
I would like to go back to this one, if I could. Come on, get it in focus. That's better. I got this book last week when John Veltmeyer's daughter brought over 2 carloads of books and ANS journals and ANS library items for me. She said they were in Dad's library and she didn't want to put them in the recycling bin. And so John held a lot of our library items in his office. And this was one of them. So you can see at the top, the property of the Australian Numismatic Society. And it's coronation and commemorative medals, 1887 to 1953. And I brought this along tonight because I thought, oh, we may not have too many items on display. So this book was published in 1953 when Queen Elizabeth ascended the throne. So it was the coronation and commemorative medals. And it goes through all the different medals that are listed from Queen Victoria's Jubilee in 97 or was it 87. And then they give you a listing of the medals that were produced. It's still Edward the Seventh. Still Edward the Seventh medals. And we go on to the George the Fifth medals. George the Fifth. Then on to George the Sixth in 37. And then Queen Elizabeth in 53. but it was very interesting that it was a journal of the ANS, part of our library, which I have to sort through. As I said, she brought in 1 carload about a month ago, and then last week there were 2 carloads that came in. So I've got sort of against the wall, you know, the boxes are stacked that high and that wide, and I just have to go through them. But a lot of the stuff will be going into the recycling bin because it's old catalogues and things like that that nobody today wants, and there's just so much storage. But definitely there are some ANS items amongst them. There was a book that was donated by Jim Noble to the library. There was a book that was donated by Estella Robinson to the library. And these are all members I've known, 40 years ago or so who wrote their articles. So there will be interesting items to see. So I hope when I have time to scan them all and let everyone know. But that's all I have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Anybody else?
Rod, whilst I was in there, Jim said he was cataloguing John Veltmeyer's Iceland nuts. Apparently collected nuts from Iceland. So they might come up.
Right, for the next auction, for the November auction.
Close the meeting at that point? That's it?
That's it. You want to close the meeting?
Close the meeting. Thank you everybody for attending, and remember that while that coin's there if anyone's interested. Thank you everybody. Thank you. You've got some more over for?
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking at the stamps of Lindy's because I've got some people in Indonesia that want some Australian stuff.
The stamps.
The stamps.
Yeah, I'll go through them too.
Yeah.
As a collector.